Presidential candidate, Senator Kamala Harris of California. Senator, what do you make about this as a prosecutor, former prosecutor? This witness intimidation, scaring witness, it seems almost mob-like, racketeer-like to say, all right, if you're going to go up there, you know, you're going to turn evidence against us for the state, look out.
Well, there's no question. I mean, it's just so obvious, Chris. It's really, it's not actually, it doesn't require much creativity to figure out what exactly Donald Trump is trying to do. He's trying to intimidate this witness and others. And it is typical of his behaviors, which is that he is not only a bully, but he also is actually obviously motivated by fear, which is that the fear that this whistleblower is going to come forward and give credible information, which has already been deemed on its face to be credible by the IG, that is going to lead to an inevitable conclusion, which is the impeachment of Donald Trump.
Let me ask you your big thoughts about the range and scope of what's going on right now. I said in the earlier segment I thought Trump was in this on himself, for himself, and now I realize he's got William Barr, the Attorney General, in cahoots with him. He's got the Secretary of State, Pompeo, in cahoots with him. Now he's got the Vice President dragged into this cabal. They're all working together to get dirt on one of the presidential candidates, Biden. It seems like it's all now to the nasty business of oppo research, all run by the president with these guys, men behind him. They're not just sycophants like Lindsey Graham. They're in it. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'd make one point of distinction between what you said and what I think is going on. It's not like he made them do anything. These are grown men who all have pre-existing roles of leadership as members of the United States Congress, as governors, and former attorney general. And so they know what they're getting into when they're dealing with him and when they've engaged in the behaviors they've engaged in, apparently. They need to come before Congress. They need to testify. And under oath, and tell the American people, because they also have violated, apparently, the oath of office that they have taken. And so I would be cautious about just putting this on to suggest that they've been lulled or seduced into something. If any of these individuals, if any of these men want to walk around wearing the lapel pin that they wear and have a bunch of staff running after them, calling them by their title, well, now they need to come before the United States Congress wearing that title and speak truth about what they have or have not done in terms of either violating the oath of office they have taken or adhering to the promise they made the American people, which is that they hold these offices in the public trust, that they hold these offices with loyalty that they should be pledging to the United States people, the people of our country, not Donald Trump.
You know, if possible, if it comes to a Senate trial, and it may well by the end of this year, well, you'll be a juror in that trial for removal of the president from office after he's impeached, if that develops as the history of this year, you're going to have a vice president of the United States who would take the presidency after having been involved personally in the cabal that would be impeaching the president for. How does that make sense historically? If Pence was part of this, how could he survive as president when Trump goes?
Yeah, well, you're raising a very important point, which is that the vice president has a lot to answer to. And he also should be brought before the United States Congress to speak about what exactly was his involvement and what, if any, solicitations were made by the president to have the vice president engage in unethical conduct,
also
and potentially illegal conduct.
Yeah, of course. Also, if Trump is guilty of trading U.S. security and security arrangements with a country that's endangered by the Russians, and maybe he did the same thing. Let me ask you about earlier today, House Speaker Pelosi said she thinks President Trump has been lashing out at the Democrats because of his fear of impeachment. Let's watch her analysis.
I think the president knows the argument that can be made against him, and he's scared, and so he's trying to divert attention from that to we're standing in the way of legislation.
What do you make of her performance so far, especially in the last 2 weeks?
I think we should all be very thankful that at this moment in time that Nancy Pelosi is the speaker. because she has, and no one can question this, she has been thoughtful, she has been reflective, she has been measured every step of the way. You know, I, like so many other Democrats, have been calling for impeachment for some time. Nancy Pelosi has been very measured and very tempered in the way she has approached this. And that is the way that she operates, and I have nothing but respect for the way she's been handling this issue.
At the other end of the spectrum, what do you think of the president's report that the president of the United States wants crocodiles, alligators, snakes, and all sorts of scary animals in the water to keep people from crossing the Rio Grande? What do you make of that? That's a factual report.
You know, I'm at a loss for words except to say that this president has a mentality that really is about beating people down and destroying them. You're talking about a moat with alligators and snakes?
Yeah.
He's talking about going back to some, you know, medieval tactic because, you know, apparently that his brain has not evolved to understand that there are modern approaches to dealing with immigration, and in particular, what really needs to happen is comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway towards citizenship.
What do you make of Maya Rudolph's imitation of you last Saturday night? Was that over the top? But you apparently said something positive about it. I thought it was a bit over the top. Your thoughts? There it is. We're watching it now.
Look, I plan on keeping Maya Rudolph in work for the next 8 years.
Anyway, I think you're much more restrained than that. But thank you so much, Senator Kamala Harris of California, for coming on. Thank you. Coming up, U.S. Congressman Adam Schiff says he's